Welcome to the October 2019 conference call. My name is Zach Smith. I'm assistant to Jim Hallbeisen, Director of Research. The format for this call is going to be a little different from past calls. We won't be focusing so much on a calendar picture or specific topic. But instead, Jim's going to come on at the beginning. He'll talk about some current events and stuff that he's seen. He's going to bring a few guys on. But after that, some people from the main office for growers in Milan are going to be coming on and discussing a number of changes that are going on within the company, as well as pricing. So, Jim, we'll start, and then we'll move on to that. If you have any questions, please wait for the end. And when you do want to ask a question, push *6 to unmute yourself. I think that's everything. Jim, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Zach.
Okay, take it away.
Okay. Thanks, Zach.
You're welcome.
So Carla's trying to clean up what kind of mess we got out there, so that everybody can hear. My name's Jim Hallbeisen. I'm going to take over the call from Zach this evening, and we're going to talk a little bit about current events, but everybody's interest is pricing of the product. October is usually the time that we do discuss this, and there's been changes that have occurred here in the home office in Milan, and we're going to be discussing some of those changes so that everybody gets a perspective of what's happening. But the big news today is the WASDE report, and again, the government is up to its normal tricks, in my opinion. We had a release of some data on Monday that basically said that the 2018 crop, corn crop particularly, was not as big as they said that it was. So the volume of corn that's in storage was down quite significantly. And this added quite a bit of strength to the corn market. And so they turn around this week and with their production estimate and acres estimate, they increased both of them. The acres didn't go up hardly at all, but they did increase the yield. Several private firms have come out with almost 7 bushel less yield than what the government is saying. And so, again, it appears that the government is trying to manipulate this market. And the reports we're getting from the field tend to contradict what the government is saying. All the guys that we're talking to now, Elvin Hirsch is going to get on here and tell you how great things are in Lancaster County. But the large areas here in the west, people are not talking about that. Plus, the prevent plan is very significant out here, too. So the volume of grain that's actually out there is very, very suspect. So as we get into harvest, then that's one of the things we want to do here at the first part of the call is talking with several gentlemen across the country. We're going to go from the central part of the country and then work in the east and then work in the west and try to have these guys give you some perspective of what they see as far as harvest is concerned. And then they're talking to other farmers trying to get a handle on what they say production actually is. So that's kind of give you perspective. I get a lot of questions from guys on marketing, what they're going to do with their crop. Should they pull the trigger right now? Do we feel that prices are going to get higher? I think what our guys are talking about is coming right from the horse's mouth. They're talking to farmers that are actually harvesting crops, whereas I don't know where the government's getting their numbers from. They do all the satellite imagery, and then they're doing these surveys, and I don't know who they're surveying. So, again, the perspective is quite different from what our guys are talking about. So I think you can kind of take that for what it's worth and try to make some kind of estimate of what you think is actually out there and what this market can do. So We have one gentleman that missed last month's call. We were talking about soil testing and what we thought the value of it was, and this gentleman is basically at the Louisville Farm Show set up a blinking light that was kind of refuting the validity of soil tests, and it was quite a conversation piece. So I thought we would give him an opportunity to chat a little bit about his take on soil tests, and then he lives in southwestern Indiana, and those guys are not that far from the Mason-Dixon line, and they usually get a real early start and have quite a bit of work done down there, but they were super wet, so that is a little bit of a problem. So Marty, if you're there, this is Marty Whitsitt. Marty's from southwestern Indiana, and I'm going to let him talk about the value of the soil test and then talk a little bit about what he sees in his neighborhood as far as crop harvest and that type of thing.
I'm on here. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, you sound great.
Okay. Value of soil test. Most people in this program pretty much know the viewpoint of that. One of the best customers I've got hasn't soil tested in over 20 years. If that says anything about what he thinks the value of a soil test is. So, and he also says that if you do get a soil test made, make sure it's not on glossy paper because it doesn't work well in the outhouse. That's his main view of soil tests. It's just too much guesswork in soil tests. I've even had guys that test for the local co-op say that if they're wanting to move fertilize, they test in between the rows. If they're wanting to move lime, they test in the rows. So they even know that it can be manipulated. So it's just a ballpark, as Jim has always said. It gets the reason for the comment of soil tests are worthless at the farm show is to get attention. That's why we're there. Is to you got a whole lot of other organizations trying to get people's attention, so you got to have something to at least start a conversation. Some people want to argue instead of converse, but if they talk logical, you can talk them through why there's not much use. I don't put much stock in those. You can tell by the soil. The local ASCS had a meeting not too long ago. They had some little test plots, and they were talking about how these test plots were really coming along because of their cover crops and all those great things. Well, he saw one worm casting and thought that things were really looking good. So his soil's got a long ways to go to be called looking good. But according to their soil test, it was really nice. As far as production and things happening here, I just drove an hour and a half over to Louisville yesterday, and I would say about 3/4 of the fields I saw were already shelled on corn, and majority of beans also. A couple of comments I have been getting when asking around. 35 bushel beans is about the biggest that guys are seeing. A lot of BBs, not getting real good size to them. There's a couple of fields that they had talked 65 or 70 bushel, but those are really rare. The other thing they're commenting is that the fields that have the most tile have the worst yields, believe it or not, in a wet year.
Wow.
Another comment that was made by a fuel delivery man. He's not delivering fuel. That, I think, tells you everything you need to know. If it was a heavy production, he would be pushing a lot more fuel than that. Another gentleman said he's running a big Lexion combine with a 16-row head, and he said it takes 6 tractor trailers and a grain cart to keep the grain away from him in good corn. And they are not having any problem keeping the grain away from him. Another reason, some of these guys started really early, I thought was kind of weird, which is, we were in the 90s every day and a good dry wind blowing. Why would you be shelling 28% corn and running it through the dryer? They got a lot of root problems. Corn was starting to lay down on them. Another comment with that is heavy manure applications. If they really hit the hog manure, and a lot of guys running turkey litter, those fields were primary targets of having root problems. Crown rot, I think, was something else that they were mentioning about that. The other biggest point about the yield is that nobody's talking. pretty much know what that means.
Absolutely.
What else you wanting to know?
Tell these guys what your spring was like, Marty.
Rain.
Yeah.
Pretty much sums it up. Patoka River runs pretty close to me here. It's just a mile or so away. And it was not in its banks for 3 months. Starting about the end of February. So we were well into what would be the normal planting season before it ever got close. And, you know, the springs all behave differently. The tile don't draw if they're the ones that they should have to lower the water tables. They're not moving any water because the lower land is still full. But a lot of guys, even the small acre guys, were claiming to be big acre guys because they planted the same acre so many times. They were planting a whole lot of acres. So there's still some soybeans out there that are going to be some late matures that were planted into July 10th, 9th and 10th, some of them even later than that.
How long before you think they'll run those, Marty, if you had to take a guess?
I'd say they're going to be a couple of weeks yet anyway, for sure.
Okay.
I haven't seen any indication that they're anywhere close yet, so it may be longer than that. It's kind of odd. It seems like the ones that they did get planted, you know, halfway decent. They were later than normal, but they got them where they're ready to shell now. They seem to have decent pod set and produced beans. They weren't having any flats in there, but the beans are just BB size.
Right. They're
then
small.
Some of these real late ones, they have few pods, but they have great big beans in the pods that they have.
Gotcha. So the verdict will still be out on those late beans. There's a tremendous amount of late beans, you know, throughout the Corn Belt, and I think the verdict is still out on that, you know, as far as how much sunlight they actually had to get production out of them. So.
Yeah, if they'd had the moisture yet here in the last several weeks, we had the temperatures and the sun for it to do what they needed, but we were getting so dry. I think that's part of the reason we've got some of them BB-sized beans. They just didn't have the moisture to keep the push behind them.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, sir. Hey, I appreciate it. Fine job.
Yes, sir. All righty.
Take care of yourself, man.
Yep.
Elvin Hirsch, are you there? Can you star six him, Carla? Because you did see his number initially, I believe.
Hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
I did. Dion?
Yep, I hear him now. You're there, right, Elvin?
Yep. Okay.
Very good, very good. This is Elvin Hirsch. Elvin lives in Lancaster County, PA. I wanted a gentleman from the east, and his son Gerald does a fair amount of custom spraying, and he's got a lot of contacts, guys that he talks to, so I thought he could kind of give us a perspective of what's happening in the eastern part of the country. So if you can chat a little bit about that, Elvin, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, we had rain, but we could get in beginning of May. Some guys get in a lot of part of April. And sunshine, everything was in our favor. And we harvested September 25th. And we had a 97-day hybrid to 118-day hybrid. Anywhere from 208 bushel to 297.
Woo.
This is we ever were to 300.
Woo.
That was just 4 rows through the field, 6,
Mm-hmm.
7 feet. And the plot averaged 262 bushel. So we we felt really blessed. I mean, that was just, last year was a little less, year before was a little less than that, but we had 3 years in a row that was right close to 260 bushel average in the plot.
Would you say that the bulk of the corn that was planted, in the Lancaster area or Berks County or Chester, that guys did have very good yields?
Yeah, the guys that planted, there were some that planted the latter part of April, and I heard a lot of guys talking 200 bushel, over 200. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked with one gentleman yesterday. I asked about beans. Well, he said around 80 bushel.
Woo.
So it's good.
Yeah.
We don't expect anything like that because Gerald took wheat off and he planted beans on July 17th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now but we had good rain right when we needed it again. Not too much. Some areas around had too much, but we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were some places was plenty dry, like southeast on Foreyville and some of them places. But the beans are over knee high, and I counted anywhere from 40 to 50 pods on a stalk, and they are filled out good.
Yeah, the beans have decent size to them, right?
Yes, yeah. Now the planted two different varieties. The one was about wheat longer season. One variety started turning yellow over the top. The other variety just started turning a little bit now, but we didn't have no frost yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, the corn that you ran, Elvin, in your plot, what was the moisture in that corn?
Okay, that was from 15.5% to 24%.
What was the planting date on those varieties? Do you know that off the top of your head?
May 2nd.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
This plot was planted all in the same day.
Sure.
There's a variation from 97 to 118 day, which is 3 weeks. And of course, the 97-day hybrid was 15.5% moisture, and the 118-day was 24. And anywhere's in between there. We had several that were 15.5 to 106 day, 107, 108 day. Then they were going up to 17, 18, and then the 113 days were up there for the 22 and 23% moisture. So
sure.
But it was a good crop, really.
Yeah. Now, would you say that guys that were just planting corn that weren't hauling manure or taking off silage, that most of them that just went out and planted early May is when most of them got that done?
Yes, there was quite a few got that done, but right next door neighbors, several of them, had triticale or rye.
Right.
Of course, that was a little later, and then it rained, and there was about, from May 2nd or 3rd on, there was about 2 weeks that you couldn't hardly get in the field.
I gotcha.
And some of them, and I know that our plot, we just didn't expect this. The water was set between the rows for about 2 days. And but it went away, and we got the yield. We couldn't believe it.
Right. Yeah, you had to have decent sunlight to do something like that. So.
Yeah, we did.
Now, did Gerald talk to anybody? I mean, is that kind of general for Chester, Lancaster, and maybe down into Maryland? The guys had pretty decent crops.
Guys that I talked with, yeah, they're all often 200. Most of them 200 plus.
Okay.
If it was planted early like that. Now, some of the later ones, some of my neighbors, well, they make a lot of silage then too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's looking good, the later corn, but
Mm-hmm.
it's seen yet what the yields will be.
Sure. Now, a lot of that later corn, Elvin, were those guys making Rilage or Triticale coming off of there for feed?
Yes. That's
Okay.
why they were later.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do most of those guys just come in? They make the Rilage and then they go ahead and no-till it?
Most of them, but some of them use a turbotill.
Okay.
One neighbor, J. Paul Hirsch here, he used he chiseled it, I think. Yeah, he
Really?
sanded the and then of course, well, they all had a home manure first too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Manure out, and then it rained. Again. I know there was one neighbor, guy has about 600 cows. He was in chopping too wet, all the manure too wet, and then planted. And that corn was anywhere from a foot to 6 foot tall. It looked awful. Over the road. Then Gerald said, well, it's going to change now, maybe. He put nitrogen on for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing how that corn come around. We drove, I get past there pretty often. And I said, I can't believe the ears that are on them stalks.
Wow.
They kept having rain right along and sunshine.
Yep.
And he's getting a half decent crop. I just saw the way I looked when it was coming through there the first 4 weeks. Why, I just wouldn't give too much for it.
Sure. All righty, Elvin. Hey, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. David Prater, are you out there? See if you can get him on there, Carla. He was on earlier. We can get Dave on. He's from Illinois, so he can kind of give us the heart of the matter here.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Good job.
Am I on? Okay.
Yep, you're in great shape. That Carla, man, she does great work. Great work.
Thank you, Carla. I think.
Yeah. Okay, David. This is Dave Prater. Dave's, if you take I-70, from Terre Haute, Indiana to St. Louis, a little bit past the center. That's about where Dave's at. He's a little bit north of that, but deals with guys that are south of that. So this is the heart of the Corn Belt, guys. So we'll let Dave tell you what he knows.
Well, thanks, Jim. What I know regarding the corn is kind of limited. I talked to my sister Dana, who works at Stonington Fertilizer and Elevator up at Stonington, Illinois. It's up in what I call the black dirt. And when I say black dirt, I'm basically referring to the prairie. We are known as the Prairie State. And usually black dirt's about 3 foot deep. And it's got a tile running through it. And it's usually run by the bankers for the most part. But anyway, I asked her, I said, well, what's the deal with the soybeans? And she said they were running anywhere from 45 to 70 bushels per acre up there. And like Marty said, when you get all that rain, even up there in the black dirt, even though it's tiled, they have big areas that drowned out. It seems like maybe it backs up in the tiles or it can't get away quick enough. I don't know the exact problem, but that I'm sure those guys are probably not too happy with 45, but kind of tickled with 70. I don't know, up that way. But I did have a grower's customer stop by today, and he'd been cutting some beans, and I don't know that he foliar fed any or put any on when he planted, but he's been putting on a lot of lime, and he said his, according to his monitor deal, was doing 55, and he was tickled with that, which is pretty good down here in the timber soil, to be quite honest with you. And like Jim, if you look on a map and look at Route 16 in southern Illinois, it runs from Paris over to about Jerseyville. And north of that would be considered kind of the prairie, and south of that you get into what I call the timber soil. So it's hard it's hard to convince those guys up in the black dirt that growers can do anything for them. But down here in the timber soil, if they'll try it and put on some lime, they kind of get to liking it. So anyway,
Did your sister have anything to say about corn per se? Have they gotten enough that you got a handle on that?
Well, yeah, Jim, thanks for reminding me there. Some of the owners of this elevator harvested some corn early. I think she said 20 acres for the most part, and it was harvested with a moisture of 27, and then they figured it down, and it still, even then, it averaged like 210, I think she said.
Okay.
And they shrunk it down to dry. So, of course, they're running it through a dryer and doing all that stuff. But probably the corn up there would be fairly decent. Of course, I don't know if those guys are happy with that figure or not. Quite honestly, down here in the timber soil, there hasn't been enough corn shelled. There's been some shelled, but it's kind of like Marty was saying over there. Nobody's talking too much. So it's pretty quiet on that front also. But
Dave, can you kind of describe to the guys what kind of spring you had?
Well, the spring was again like Marty's. I mean, just rain, and I forget what they said, that we had one of the wettest. I think St. Louis said we had one of the wettest Mays on record or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just and people that had stuff planted, if it would drain fairly well, they didn't replant. A lot of soybean fields were spotted in with places, and like the one neighbor said, he says you just don't know where to quit spotting in, he said. So that leaves big kind of green spots out there, and you harvest what's ready at the moment. But it was a lot of stuff was planted. I know here with my brother, he got most of his stuff, corn, planted the end of May, and he hasn't really shelled any corn at all. They've been working on some soybeans that were been planted in probably about the first week of, or latter part of May, first week of June. And again, they're not saying too much, my brother and his son, about how they're doing. So, and I haven't rode in the combine to take a look at the at the monitor deal, but I want to say too that. Go ahead. Excuse me, Jim.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a lot of down here in particular, up in the black dirt, you don't see it so much, but you get a lot of butter beans, and you got green beans, I call them, and even though they're testing dry, you take them to the elevator, they test dry. I'm sure the test weight has to be terrible on some of these soybeans, and I don't, and by that I mean, even in a good year, the soybeans don't test well. Might be 57, 56, and I bet this year it's even less than that. I haven't looked at any tickets, to be quite honest, but I don't see how it could be any better.
So there are green stemmed beans out there.
Oh my, yes. I mean, they're cutting stuff that you'd say, well, that's a week or 10 days off, but they're out there cutting them, and they're womping through in places. So, you got to watch that womp, and that'll catch up with you pretty soon.
Yeah, boy, you got that
on
right.
The combine, that is, yeah. So, and still there's a lot of late beans that I don't know how they're going to make it to amount to anything, really. I mean, they look good, but I can't think they'll be anything but fodder, quite honestly.
Just run out of sunlight.
Really? Yeah, they'll just be nothing. They'll just be to plow under or work in or something.
Sure.
For sure. So,
okay.
And I guess that's about all I got, Jim.
Sounds good, David. Appreciate it very much.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Craig Conklin, are you there? Think you can find him there, Carla?
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Very good. Very good. This is Craig Conklin. We've put together a transport team, and Craig's kind of the leader of that transport team, and so we want him to introduce himself, and so you guys get to hear a little bit, and then at the annual meeting you'll get to know him a lot better. And for the customers out there, this is a gentleman that you want to interact with if you got any questions on the transport side. He's got team members that can talk to you also, but Craig's kind of heading this thing up. So, Gregor, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you run with it a little bit.
Okay, thank you, Jim. You all know my name is Craig Conklin. I've been with the company for 17 years. Some of you might know me quite well, or just may have talked to you briefly, because I was in delivery truck, and I've been in semi for the last 9 years. Like Jim said, we're running a 3-person team, which is myself, Carla, and Mike Plunkett will be on the team. And main thing is, I guess I'm still going to be driving out there on the road. I'll be third in line for driving or down the line as a backup driver, but I will still be driving. So I guess if I'm on the road, you call in the office. If I'm not there, I guess we'll just Carla will either take your information and send me the information and I can call you, or if that's something that she can help you with. I guess that's about it.
What one thing I want you to talk a little bit about, Craig's probably been at every facility in the company as far as delivering material to our storage facilities, and then, even in the delivery mode, he's been just a tremendous amount of places. Can you kind of chat a little bit about, the delivery area that you've been in and what you've worked in yourself?
As in within the company itself?
Yeah, where the areas of the country that you've done some actual delivery on farm.
Well, pretty much all of Ohio, all of Michigan now, Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee. I've been to Alabama a few times in delivery truck. We cover that now with Florida, West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Western PA, and I'm trying to think where else. I know we're doing parts of southern Wisconsin now, but I haven't been in there yet other than in semi. So yeah, in the delivery truck I've been around, and semi I definitely have been pretty much almost every state. So
right. You've been about to just every storage facility that we have. Is that correct?
Yes. I think I have been to every single one, and set up quite a few of them so far.
Sure. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to comment on that you're going to try to facilitate this year or get to happen that you think will be helpful, or do you want guys to interact with you and let you know anything? Is there any comment on that you've got?
I think the main thing is with the drivers is making sure we get all the delivery tickets in and with the storage sites so we can keep them filled up in a timely manner. I know we talked about getting for the delivery drivers or for our guys based out of Milan, we're covering a new area. I know if we can get the customers to mark the tanks for us, I mean, if they're not one of our overhead tanks, or if they can put a piece of paper on there with a note, and we're also going to be trying to call customers, let them know, when we're going to be coming or sending out letters to the customers.
Okay.
And with the e-logs, we need to get be vigilant on those, certifying your logs and making sure you go off duty at the end of the day, because that really puts if you don't go off duty and you forget about it, and after 14 days, there's nothing we can do about it. So we need to keep on top of that for DOT reasons.
It's all regulatory, boys. So, okay, Craig. Sounds like a plan. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jim.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
I wondered if Craig wanted to talk anything about the new truck situation. The two
Sure.
new trucks we've got in the pipeline.
Sure. Go ahead, Krieger.
Okay. Tomorrow, me and our driver, we got Matt coming in the morning, Mack Trucks. We'll be test driving and checking them out, and later in the morning we will be going over to the Freightliner and checking them out and test driving them. We do have one of our semis we are turning into a bigger delivery truck, and we will be sending that across into Canada probably here within the next month and a half. So, I mean, if we can, once we get that over there, and we're talking about sending one of our other delivery trucks up into Minnesota to give them a little bit more storage, or not storage, a bigger truck capacity to deliver more and get them a better truck. And like I said, then when we get our truck back from Canada, that will be based out of Milan. So.
Very good. Yeah, that's I appreciate that, Greg. Okay, Zach Holmer, are you out of the combine or what are you doing?
Chris, you listening?
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are, partner. Woo! So you're not in the big green machine working, huh?
As a matter of fact, I'm just getting ready to put her away. I actually, when the call started, I was still running. So.
All right. This is Zach Holmer. We have brought him on to help with the sales team, and which I'm included in. And we've got other things that he's doing for us, and he's kind of a farm boy, so we think that can be helpful and contribute. So we want Zach to introduce himself and talk a little bit about what he's doing and how he got to this point with us. So Zach, I'm going to let you take it from here.
All right, thanks, Jim. As Jim said, my name is Zach Holmer. My official title is Assistant Director of Sales. My position in the company is customer service oriented is where I want to go with it. Helping you guys help your customers, helping customers help themselves, and helping each of us grow with a company that is growing as we speak. I got the chance to run the delivery truck out of Milan this spring for a little bit, so I've got to meet some of you guys. I was privileged enough to meet some of your customers. Some of your customers were opened up to me to just ask questions with how their program's working, how my program's working, how I use growers in my particular farm situation, and they all seem to gain a lot of interest. I learned a lot from them, different guys using things for different reasons. And I also heard some of them in some of their struggles where they just weren't quite seeing what they were hoping to see yet. And in my opinion, that's something that kind of struck me a little rough, and I wanted to do something about it immediately when I was driving the truck. So while I didn't go jumping and running at this position, I let that door open and walked through it when it presented itself to me. So my focus is going to be trying to help all of you, help all of your customers, and make each and every one of us as successful as we possibly can. Because I know that this product is absolutely amazing. It's done wonders on my farm as far as helping my bottom line. And I'm having fun with my yields, learning different ways of foliar feeding, seeing things come around. I finally this year got a chance that one of my fields that's been an Achilles heel to me, I'm finally throwing 10 ton of lime at it this year, 10 ton of water treatment plant lime. So I'm in it. I'm here to play. I'm here to experiment. And for those of you guys that are out there growing row crops and stuff, hey, I'm interested in talking to you because we need to get on the same page and share some of our experiences and see what we can do to make all of us make the establishment shake their heads at us and make them laugh that you guys can't do that. And I just like proving them wrong. One of the things they handed to me in the office is the farm show folder. So for you, those of you that are setting up at the farm shows, chances are you will get to talk to me at some point if you haven't already. There again, would like to do some things a little different, we think. We've got some ideas and some brainstorms, but in all honesty, I need the input of you guys that are setting up at the shows. Things that you think we should do different, ideas that you have. One gentleman brought up that he's using digital media, setting up in a wide enough booth or a large enough booth that he's letting the videos and letting the farmers talk on the videos and just letting people see that. And then when the people are done watching it, if they come over and talk to them at the booth, he said that's been sort of working for them. So highlighting our customers' success is something that I'd really like to see that we could try to do a little more of and see how that goes, see who's interested in it, and see what that can do to spark some more interest and some more fire in each of us in our endeavor at what we call farming.
So you have any comment about the beans you were running? How dry are they? Do they got decent size? Was the combine working right, or did you have to do a lot of wrenching?
This is the first year that I hit the key in the old 6620, and it fired right up. I literally put the knives in the chopper, put the header on, adjusted the concave, never touched the sieves, and it has run like a dream. Soybeans, it's unreal this year. It's just unreal. Soybeans, the field I'm in last year ran my farm's absolute best for a field at just over 55. Last year was the best farm average that my farm has ever seen since I've been operating it, and that averaged at about 51 or 52. I'm going to give these soybeans in this field, I didn't get them all on the semi, which is a good thing. They're probably running north of 45, but they probably aren't quite going to make that 50 mark. But second year soybeans, and it's probably had 8 ton of calcium so far over 8 years span here, and I'm just ecstatic with them. I'm planting beans in 15-inch rows that really should be in 7.5s and overpopulating, trying to bring that yield up a little bit. It's helped there again, I think. Just everything ran super tonight, and after the spring we had and not planting until knocking on July's door, literally, I'm better than 45 average. I'll take that. Soybean size looks fairly nice. The quality on them look amazing. They're a non-GMO soybean, so obviously quality is going to be big when I sell them for the premium, and they're nice. They're uniform. I'm still excited. I'm having fun yet this fall. So
excellent. I appreciate it, Zach. Fine job.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jim.
Matt Schroeder, are you out there, Matt?
Here we go.
We got you. What do you think, Carla? Got his number?
I will. Have him *6. I don't see him.
Star 6 wants Matt. See
Here,
if we.
here he is. Oops. I think he was star 6 and I am star 6. Try it again, Matt. There he is.
Are you on, Matt? We can't hear you yet.
Am I on yet?
There you go.
All right.
Now we got you.
Great.
This is Matt Schroeder from the home office. Matt's kind of our number cruncher, and we've got a few things we'd like him to chat about for us. So, Matt, I'm going to let you take it and run.
Well, thanks, Jim. Good evening, everybody. I just want to say, again, I'm the controller for growers, and I've been with the company for a little over a year. I'm as excited as could be about growers, and I'm really excited about where the company is headed. I think we've got a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of good things that we've been able to accomplish in the last year. Obviously the worst part is with the bad weather and all that, which is not what we want to hear. But again, I've been able to pick up a lot of information, and everything points to we've got the right products and the right company, and the sky's the limit with us. It's really great to be a part of such a unique and great company like Growers. So I wanted to basically say that one of the big things about tonight is, of course, is the price. Wanted to point out one major thing, and that is we've certainly added a few positions to the company. But again, I wanted to point out that those additional wages were not included in setting the price for GMS. These positions are considered an investment for the future and are being 100% paid for by the owners. So, the biggest factor for the price of GMS is, of course, raw material costs. Secondarily, transportation. So obviously we've worked really hard to control our costs this year, and have tried some different ways to keep our costs as low as we can. I also just wanted to assure you that even though we are pushing for hard on raw material vendors, we're still purchasing the highest quality, clean raw materials that we've always have, and we continue to have our raw materials tested to ensure that they meet our standards. So that's all the good news that I can bring. I guess I'll just turn that over to the next person, unless anybody has any questions for me right now.
That sounds good, Matt. So I'll take her from there for you. So thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it. Okay, now I've got there's two gentlemen left. So I'll let Russ or Rick decide who's going to jump in here, and I'm pretty well out of it at this point. Those two guys are going to take control of this conference call, and they'll talk one-on-one with you guys out there. So whoever's first, Russ or Rick, you got the ball now, and I'm going to let you guys take it till the end.
Hey guys, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, you're coming in pretty decent.
Okay, sorry about that alarm in the background. 2 minutes ago, the Milan Fire Department just started blaring down the street. So if you guys can hear that, I apologize. So I've officially started with Growers the last couple months, back in August, and just coming on board and been excited. I've met some of you guys at some different district manager meetings, so been just excited to learn and get a feel for what everything's going about. So I pointed out, kind of the three main factors that were of raw materials. We're able to get some favorable pricing from our suppliers. We're able to control the price we set, and the way we're doing business with our suppliers and develop exceptional relationships with them, we're able to receive great service and pricing. And we're also able to locate multiple suppliers that we're able to use in our materials that we were able to use for competition and get kind of better deals and play everyone off of each other. Number two is the delivery. By using our own trucks to pick up these high quality materials, we're able to save money. So when Craig's on his way back from delivering, he's able to pick up some material on his way back. It's a win-win for everyone. And then also number three, inventory management. We've started closely monitoring our inventory of raw material and buy much more efficiently and keep just on hand what we need for production. The less inventory of raw materials is representing a savings in our production costs. So for those three reasons, we're able to put together and try to support the ag community. Our price for GMS this year has been reduced to 35 cents less than what it was the previous year. And in Canada, it's been roughly 5 cents, kind of depending on the exchange rate. So after this call, we sent out an email to the email contacts that we had as far as DMs and sales reps. And we also are sending out a letter that should probably be getting there to you guys probably tomorrow, or if not, the next couple of days. So you guys can look out for that. So we're trying to get that out early to you guys so you guys have that information. I'll just pass it over to Rick.
Hey, cool. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good, Rick.
Yep. Okay, great. So thanks to Jim for putting this together, and Zach Smith up in Canada for hosting this. And thanks to all of you for being part of this. This is a big deal for us. This is our 65th year in business. And we're humbled to be part of the ag community. And we're doing everything we can to go for another 65 years and build the best company we can. So my part of this whole thing is going to be to talk about the cash in advance of discount program. That's something we always do. We're going to do something a little unique this year, and we're going to try to help out understanding that the crazy weather we've all had. We're going to extend our first discount period until December 17th. So it's going to look like this. Starting November 1st, we're going to offer a 10% cash in advance of delivery discount, and that's going to run from November 1st to December 17th. So we're going to get a couple extra weeks there. We're going to get an 8% cash in advance of delivery discount December 18th to January 7th, 6% from January 8th to February 1st, and a 4% from February 2nd to February 29th. I guess the last thing I need to say and talk about is recognize who's not on the call tonight. Our boss and the president of Growers has been taking a leave of absence since July to deal with a pretty serious medical condition. She had surgery in July to remove a large mass. The surgery was successful, required a long recuperation, and she's in the middle of some pretty serious treatments. We're hopeful that she's going to make a full recovery and look forward to seeing her join the organization on a regular basis. In the meantime, we've created a management team of Jim, Matt, Russ, and I to help deal with any situation that might have normally gone to Jenny. Jenny was insistent that while she was gone, things move forward in the company. and nothing slipped through the cracks. And we do everything we can to build the best company we can. So that's all I've got on my list of things to talk about. Again, I'll close by thanking everybody for everything they've done to get us through this 65 years, and we look forward to another great 65. Thanks to everybody, and have a great fall.
Okay. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that very much.
You bet. You bet.
The next call, guys, is 14th of November, and we'll be back on to our discussion of the calendar. We actually skipped this October calendar, and we'll probably be picking that up in December. That belongs to a gentleman down in Southwest Ohio, and we certainly would like to get him to chat a little bit about it. So, but the next call will focus on the picture that we have. Anybody out there that has any specific questions, about the pricing and the discount periods and that, like they suggested, there is a letter that's coming, but you certainly can call the office and discuss that with the pertinent individuals. So, if you, Zach Smith, are you still there? You want to close this thing out, or?
I can, yeah. There's not really much else to say. Jim talked about the next conference call. It'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I don't think that there's anything else to say besides thanks for listening. Thank you to everybody who came on. This was a busy call, but I think a lot of important information was shared. And I hope everybody has a good night. Bye.